I'm sick of sticking up for rapists brilliantly so they don't go to prison. It's time to use my powers for good, not evil.
Yeah, a lot of people wondered why you stuck up for rapists in the first place.
I guess I just like rapists.
Speedo?
Relax, Janice. That's just my wicked sense of humor. I'm brilliant partly because I'm fucked up.
You can...
You're right. His tone reflects someone who feels
We're supposed to believe that Mr. Rosenbaum is Jason Bourne or John Wick or some other movie star hero who's capable of killing with his bare hands and deserved the treatment that he got from the defendant.
What?
See, I think they went a little too far on the deserved. I can't agree.
He's
Mr.
angry
Richards
at the jury. He knows he's lost them.
Was quite personal. If not taking shots personally, Mr. Binger, he was gloating and boasting about his client's kills.
This is what I
And
said.
he talked a lot about the Zeminskis.
Yeah.
He knows darn well that the Zeminskis are charged by my office and they have a Fifth Amendment right. This is a criminal defense attorney.
Stop.
There's the objection.
Stop it.
Ooh. Yeah.
Stop.
Whoa.
Let me ask you to step out for a moment, would you?
Oh shit.
Oh, shit.
Here we go. But this is not Kyle's.
Wait, which one's getting yelled at though?
I'm not sure.
I'm actually not sure who's getting yelled at
Is
here.
that an evidence that that's why the Zeminskis couldn't come in? Because that sounds like he's
No,
arguing
no,
facts
it's
not
not.
an evidence.
It's not an evidence.
And bringing in facts
I don't
not
think
an
it's an evidence.
He cannot do, and he can't say the defense knows darn well this is why they're not here. He cannot say that. He would have had to call the Zeminskis, have them take their Fifth Amendment right on the stand,
Yes.
and then dismiss them if
Yes.
he wanted to.
Yes.
I don't
that.
think the judge is happy.
The judge is not happy because you can't
Very
do
unhappy.
that. And this is
Yeah.
not the first time this prosecution team has overstepped things they should not say.
Especially
I
on
want to hear
Fifth
the
Amendment
judge
rights.
say, hey, why should I not impose the mistrial with prejudice at this point?
And Mrs. Zeminski does have a right. Her case has been disposed of and she did not appeal.
Ooh.
Or was charged with any arson, which the defense could get into, and she would have a Fifth Amendment right.
Okay.
As I recollect, I think I handled the case. As I handled the case.
That's on my docket.
Oh, shoot.
What's that?
Joshua Zeminski.
That's pending.
Right.
Mr. Zeminski's case is pending and it has been repeatedly adjourned to follow this case.
Ooh.
I wonder
At the
why.
state's request.
Uh,
I handled the case of Mrs. Zeminski. And she came in on a reduced charge. It was a recommendation, I think, for a 7-day sentence.
Huh.
She was being revoked and sent to
she's
prison.
done.
I know the particulars of that case. But if
I don't know that he's
Attorney
over.
Richards
Well,
can,
she wouldn't have a right of, I think I
Yeah.
sentenced her to 7 months in prison consecutively to her sentence. And I
That kills
don't
her
think,
Fifth Amendment
why
right.
would she have a testimonial privilege any longer?
Yeah.
Correct.
if there are charges outside of what she was charged with, she wasn't
You
charged
should
with
have
any
charged him
arson.
at the time.
I don't know. Probably
a
not.
year and a half ago.
You got to charge her
What
for the
charges?
fifth.
You got to
You have
charge him at the time. They would have known about the arsons. You got to charge him together.
We're wrapped up. They can't piecemeal the charges, and to argue that she has a Fifth
right.
Amendment right now is ridiculous.
That is
Yeah,
it.
you can.
I did say
Totally.
Mrs. Zeminski had a Fifth Amendment right, and then the objection came. I did not say Mrs. Zeminski.
Oh, okay. You said the Zeminskis.
Because
I thought he said the Zeminskis.
I can clarify that Mr. Zeminski has a
Well,
Fifth
let's find
Amendment
out from the report of what was
Even
said.
if he has a Fifth
I
Amendment
thought it was
right,
just
they could have
Mr.
called him to the stand and have him
Right.
plead the Fifth.
But it's still
You
facts
can't
not
bring
enough.
new evidence
The
in your
state
cause.
has requested that every single witness who has any criminal interest in this case has had their the
Stuff
state
pushed
has
back.
requested
Yeah.
continuances
Yeah.
Yep. Weird.
until
Weird
after
how
this
that's
trial.
happened.
Well, it's because the
Interesting.
this wielding the Fifth Amendment like a weapon.
I think he said that Zeminskis are charged by my
Yeah,
office,
I remember.
and they have
Knew
a
it.
Fifth Amendment right.
Did you say the Zeminskis?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, then,
That's what you said. No, it's
I'll
too
sustain
late.
the objection.
I understand.
All right.
Instruct the jury to disregard it.
All right. Ask the jurors to come back in, please.
Now he just broke up his rant.
He should have. But he should have.
And
raised
Krause's
the whole
bad
thing.
recovery.
He should have
Yes.
raised the whole thing about it, referencing the Fifth Amendment of Kyle with what he was saying earlier. Once they were talking about the whole Fifth Amendment, and the jury's out of the room, you might as well, have the
No,
judge
it's
instruct
a
him not to go
side
down
issue.
and talk about Kyle remaining silent.
But those
But he
two
talked about Kyle
issues
talking to
aren't.
people that night before he was arrested that already testified.
Yeah, and those two issues aren't really together, right? The Zeminskis versus what happened with Kyle.
I'm mad about a lot of what this prosecution's done, but I'm not mad about that, Joe. I think they have a right to say he didn't tell any of his friends this.
Yeah.
Why? I think that's pretty basic. What everyone does,
It's-
is they know they have the right to remain silent.
But
It's
that's
almost like you're
only-
imputing on
that's
him.
post-arrest.
How dare
It's-
you not go gossiping to your friends about what happened that night? It's such a ridiculous.
I mean,
fairness,
but
but-
he's made other statements to them from like that night. Remember, like how he stopped and he said, I just shot someone. I need help or something like that.
This is their theory of the case, is that he concocted this
Sustained
story
objection
after watching the
because
testimony, right?
statement, which was made by Mr. Krause, was not accurate, at least as regards Mrs. Zeminski. Any question? Go ahead,
He
Mr.
just told the jury that the prosecutor was not accurate.
Ms. Zeminski was
Right.
charged and
After
convicted by my
after
office.
that,
Mr.
Closing by the
Zeminski
defense.
still has pending charges.
Yep.
Attorney Richards knows that he has a Fifth Amendment right to not testify.
Oh my God.
Let me ask you to step in the library again.
Oh,
you
geez.
win all are you
Trial.
doing?
Way to end on your ass.
This is proving
Just got
everything the
corrected.
defense said in their closing, and this
Yes.
has just made the defense
Yep.
closing better because now they see the prosecution getting schooled by the judge again and again.
Somebody
That's
hunted
not
Richards
inaccurate.
down on the
Their
street.
credibility. This goes
I
right
don't
into
even
that
think there's a
credibility
meaningful
issue.
point for them.
He should have just moved on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody hunted Richards on the street and shot him with a tranquilizer gun full of energy drink or something.
It was Gatorade. He needs to be sponsored.
One, it's not an evidence. 2, 1, wait for the door.
Correct.
1, it's not an evidence. 2, if he wants to say he has the Fifth Amendment right, they also can grant him immunity. They're the only people who can. And if they're going to say that, I should have a rebuttal to explain it to those 12 people. They hold the keys to Mr. Zeminski testifying or not testifying.
We just heard 2 hours of how terrible Joshua Zeminski was, and the defense wants us to offer him immunity. That's completely
That's not
our
what he said,
decision.
Mr. Krause, please.
He still has a Fifth Amendment right. What I'm saying is accurate.
But you know, the question you're asking, the Zeminski case has been here on a number of occasions, and it has been either it's been a mutual request to adjourn the case. Who's his lawyer?
Mr. Barth.
Okay, it's been repeatedly requested that it be adjourned, and I assumed or was told, I'm not sure which, it would be adjourned pending the outcome of this case.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not true.
No.
Well, it's not true. It is true that I assumed it. Whether I was told that or not, I don't know.
It's not the same as Dominic Black, Your Honor. It's a different situation. Zeminski's case will go to trial on January 31st.
Well, but why was it being adjourned?
I think there was some, we had a witness who was not available at the last trial date, so we needed more time to get them in.
I don't believe you.
Judge knows that's
And
bullshit, by the
Mr.
way.
Richards also brings up a point that you have control over the availability of a witness in terms of grant of immunity, but I don't want to get into that because I think on the first point he made, which is that I don't think it's an evidence.
I asked Mr. DeBruin about it.
What did you ask Mr. DeBruin?
I asked Mr. DeBruin that when we were talking about our meeting, that he was going to be a witness against Mr. Zeminski, and that Mr. Binger talked to him mostly about Mr. Zeminski because there's a pending case against Mr. Zeminski.
Okay, how's that in evidence that Zeminski raised
After
his Fifth
Mr.
Amendment privilege?
DeBruin talked about our meeting on cross-examination, I asked Mr. DeBruin, I believe this was a while ago, I indicated that he was going to be a witness in the Zeminski case, and that Mr. Binger asked him mostly about Zeminski, and why would Mr. Binger ask questions about Mr. Zeminski in an effort to change his statement in the Rittenhouse case?
But it still wasn't
And he had
clear
no
that the
answer
case was
for it.
actually charged.
Fifth Amendment right.
The district attorney is making, or the defense attorney.
It's that there's an open pending case against him.
There was specific testimony that there was a trial date on January 31st. That came in through Mr. DeBruin, and I actually mentioned it in my closing because it's in evidence that there's a pending case. I'm prosecuting Mr. Zeminski, and the trial's coming up in January. That is in evidence, Your Honor.
That's not evidence. What he says in
closing.
question is not evidence. That's not testimony from DeBruin. DeBruin knows nothing about Zeminski.
I don't know.
By the way, even if this objection is overruled, it doesn't
Making
matter.
it sound as if, well, you're making it sound incorrectly so, that Mr. Zeminski is unavailable because of his testimonial privilege. But now Mr. Richards is asking whether he should be allowed a rebuttal to so the jury would understand that that is somewhat under the control of the district attorney. But I'm not going to, at this point, I'm not going to get further into that. I'm just going to ask you to move on to something else.
Well, my next line of argument is that the defense named them in their witness list and could have called the Zeminskis.
No, we can't because he's got
They
a
can't.
Fifth Amendment privilege for the very reason you indicate. And privileges must be claimed as much as possible outside the presence of the jury. That's the statute.
They could have called Kelly Zeminski. They writted her here from prison.
Pardon me?
We had to have her available in case something came up. That doesn't mean we have to call her. We have no obligation to put anybody on the witness stand.
I'm straight.
Prosecutor's
You
case.
see this?
Mr. Richards commented many times about how we could have called them, which I think was dishonest given the Fifth Amendment issue. But then also I can mention that
You really
when
want
he
to bring
still
up
haven't read his
dishonesty?
witness lists, the
But that's
Zeminskis
not
were on it,
dishonest,
and
they
they have
could
the
call
ability
them,
to call
give them
them.
immunity.
The witness list is not in evidence.
Damn straight.
Yeah, good.
Good job, Richards.
Yeah.
Richards is on fire today. He took some of that juice or something.
The judge needs to say, I just said what I said. But the problem is with this judge is that the more he lets them argue, the more he's likely to change his mind, which is why they keep arguing, because he does change his mind.
Binger wraps him around his finger.
And
Yep.
yeah, the prosecution is really good at, like, when he makes a decision, continuing to argue until they convince him.
They do not stop. Which is why we've seen them get yelled at a couple times here, but they keep doing it because he will.
It works.
And he seems to be afraid of media coverage.
That's right. I was going to say, I think he doesn't want to see
Yeah.
anything more on him being controversial.
Okay.
There's a long pause.
Binger's been around him for 480 cases or something like that, so he knows how he can play this judge too.
I can hear the Windows
What is
rebooting
the
sound.
last statement you made now to the objection?
That Mr. Zeminski has an open case and a Fifth Amendment right.
Yeah.
This is such a long time for the jury to be.
Well, that is an accurate statement.
That I should be able to fill in the holes because they're the ones who can give him immunity. I can't call them.
Well, I know that, but
The jury doesn't.
Right. The jury doesn't know that.
Yeah. The jury
doesn't know that.
you know.
He was saying
No. You address your remarks to me, both of you. To me, not to each other, please.
Stop snapping.
It's called being prepared.
Yeah, they're
I don't
gonna-
know what's going to happen at a trial.
Okay.
Judge Dad is concerned that, like, well, I only have one sandwich worth of peanut butter left. Which one of you gets it?
He's trying to figure out if he lets the prosecution does it and gives a SIR rebuttal, is he creating more problems? Because generally the defense would not get another chance to speak. And I think he's trying to weigh, do I create more
Well,
problems?
I think I'm just going to tell the jury that Mrs. Zeminski would have been available to be called by either party.
That's not.
Okay.
That's
What?
not.
Oh man, I got out of it alive. Okay.
I don't think the jury's going to understand anything that they're talking
Nope.
about the whole Zeminski thing
And I don't
anyway.
think it matters.
I don't
What
think it's critical at
happened
all.
here makes the prosecution look shady and
Yes.
then hurt themselves more, and they should have stopped fighting on this point because it doesn't matter, but they can't see that because they're angry.
And
They're also
Richard should
unable
be-
to change direction at all. When they pick a direction, they can't turn.
You're right.
Richard should be ready to pounce. He should be
At
ready
this-
to pounce.
At this point, they're fighting the bar sanctions, not even the.
Well, the thing is, where I am, you have to actually stand up to object. And so when I'm watching a lawyer, I expect to see them sitting up and ready to go. I've been kind of flabbergasted to see them sort of leaning back and
To
casually
see
in their
Richard's
chairs.
lying back with his pen.
Yeah, I'm like,
this. Yeah.
be awake, be ready, because you're expected to stand up and object.
I think that Gatorade and vodka has got him going.
All right, folks. What the situation is that Mrs. Zeminski would have been available to either party to call as a witness, and neither of them has done so. Okay. Any question?
There
Go
you
ahead, Mr.
go.
Krause.
Jury's like, what the hell does that matter?
Mr. Richards,
I'm a dumb redneck from fucking Conway, South Carolina. And if I could figure this shit out, people that with much higher education than I have can figure it out too.